Lena's reflection in the polished boardroom window was a masterpiece. Sharp blazer, flawless hair, a cool professional smile. Across the table, the venture capitalist David Chen was leaning forward, completely captivated. Her prototype gleamed under the lights, and Lena's pitch was a symphony of buzzwords and billion-dollar projections: synergy, scalability, disruptive innovation. "It's brilliant, Lena," David said. "The technology is clearly there, but tell me, why this? Why now? What's the real problem you're solving?" The perfect script was ready in Lena's mind. She was supposed to talk about market gaps and user engagement metrics. But a flicker of memory cut through the rehearsed lines. The smell of her grandmother's kitchen stained with turmeric and frustration. The clatter of a dozen spice tins as her nanny's arthritic hands fumbled, trying to find the right one. Lena's real aha moment hadn't been in a sleek lab but in that cluttered, loving chaos. Her invention, a smart spice rack with tactile identifiers and voice-activated labels, wasn't born to disrupt a market. It was born to soothe the specific, aching helplessness her own, as she watched the woman who had fed a family for 60 years slowly lose her culinary compass. "Tell him that," a quiet voice inside her whispered. "Tell him it's for Nani," but the air in the room was cold, filtered, and smelled of money. The Lena in the window reflection didn't have a grandmother with shaking hands. She had a total addressable market. She was a CEO, not a granddaughter. She took a breath, betrayed the memory, and sold the fantasy. "David, the real problem is inefficiency in the modern smart kitchen ecosystem," she began, her voice smooth as glass. "We're targeting tech-forward millennials who value precision and data-driven cooking. The problem is a fragmented user experience." As she spoke, she saw it. A tiny fracture in David's engagement. The spark of genuine curiosity in his eyes dulled, replaced by polite appraisal. He was still listening, but he was no longer seeing her. He was seeing 100 other founders in 100 other boardrooms. She got the offer anyway. A term sheet. A valuation that should have made her scream with triumph. That night, she celebrated with her small team at a trendy, minimalist bar. They toasted to the future, to changing the world. The champagne tasted like ash. Weeks later, in her sterile new office, she unboxed the first production model. It was beautiful, sleek, white, with a subtle blue LED glow. She ran her finger over the smooth, unlabeled surface. It was perfect. And it was a complete stranger. She thought of installing one in Nani's kitchen. She imagined the old woman's confusion at the touchscreen, her hesitation to speak to a machine. The product, in its polished, market-ready form, would be an insult to the very need that created it. The betrayal wasn't in the pitch. It wasn't in taking the money. The betrayal happened in that quiet moment she chose the polished lie over the grainy, beautiful truth. She had sold David Chen a solution, but she had sold herself a story that her success had to wear a mask, that her passion needed a PowerPoint presentation to be considered valid. The company grew. Articles were written about her. Yet, with every congratulatory email, Lena felt smaller. She had built a monument to an idea she'd abandoned at the door. She was a ghost in her own machine. The reckoning came at a big tech conference. She was on a panel about authenticity in innovation, sitting beside an elderly potter who sold his wares online. He spoke haltingly about the clay, the feel of the wheel, about a mistake that became his most beloved vase. The audience was utterly still, captivated not by scale, but by soul. When the moderator turned to Lena and asked about her founding story, the room waited. The spotlight was hot. She looked out at the sea of expectant faces, then down at her own manicured hands. And in them she saw Nani's hands. "The first prototype," Lena said, her voice cracking the perfect CEO facade for the first time in public, "was made of Lego and cheap label makers. I made it for my grandmother, who can't read her spice tins anymore. I was just a girl who wanted to help." The silence that followed was different from the boardrooms. It was warm. Then applause. Not the polite kind, but the kind that comes from deep human recognition. Afterwards, a young woman approached her, her eyes bright. "My grandpa has Parkinson's," she said. "What you said, it mattered." Lena walked away from the conference, from the term sheet, from the hollow victory. She went back to the garage, back to the Lego and the label makers. She started again. This time with a new company name and an old truth displayed proudly on the website. For Nani, and for yours, she had betrayed herself once by trading her truth for a trophy. Her redemption began the moment she decided the trophy was worthless compared to that truth. The real innovation was never in the spice rack. It was in the courage to build the thing that your most vulnerable, honest self actually needs. Everything else is just noise. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing for more. See you next time.